Indiana voters could have a say in which Republican nominee will face President Barack Obama in this year's presidential election. News Channel 18's Brittany Tyner joins us now with more on what this means for the Republican voters of Indiana. Brittany?
Yes, now that the primary elections are underway, Indiana voters are slowly waiting their turn to vote. Here are the details on what will determine if the state will have an impact on the GOP race for candidacy. Indiana is one of the last states at the bottom of the list to vote in the primaries. This typically means Indiana voters don't have a big impact on who wins the presidential nomination. Head of Purdue's Department of Political Science, Burt Rockman, says that could change if the race is close. He believes Mitt Romney will be a forerunner in this year's Republican primary elections.
If there's a contender for Romney, or if Romney stumbles, then Indiana could wind up being quite important.
Rockman says if the race for Republican nominee does become close, he expects a higher voter turnout for Indiana. He says there is also one other factor that could play a part in a greater turnout for the Republican primary election.
There's a Senate race going on in the primary, and that, as I understand from most of the polls at this point, could be very close.
In that race, state treasurer and challenger Richard Murdoch will go against Senator Richard Lugar. Democratic West Lafayette City Council member Eddie Van Bogart says in just 2 days, voters in Indiana should know if they will play a key factor in the Republican race after an upcoming primary.
Really, I think that we can look at South Carolina as, whether this race is going to be extended much further.
Van Bogart says if Romney does not prevail in South Carolina's primary, this year's Super Tuesday, a date when 10 states choose their candidate, could play a key role in the race.
And that would be an opportunity, if the race is extended to that point, for a lot of delegates to be thrown into play on one day.
Super Tuesday is set to take place on March 6th. Indiana's primaries will follow a little over 2 months later on May 8th. Texas Governor Rick Perry did announce today that he has dropped out of the 2012 presidential race and is supporting Newt Gingrich. Political analysts say that could help the Republican race be close. Brittany Tyner, News Channel 18.